When bandits thought they could make a quick buck by taking part in wine fraud, the people turned to Maureen Downey, the Sherlock Holmes of wine. When fake veterans began to advertise themselves as something they weren't, Doug Sterner and Don Shipley were put on the case. But when Civil War buffs are being duped by fake Corps badges and other Civil War militaria, they turn to Joseph Valicenti, the badge maker. One thing I wanted to start out with is to look at that image that you sent me of your friend's collection.
Okay.
And I'm just going to edit it in here and give our listeners or viewers a few seconds to decide whether those are fake or real.
So looking at that image that I shared with you, so I looked back at my conversation with my friend who shared me that image. So there are a few real ones, but only a few. The rest, all fake. Every one of them. Now, the ones that I believe are real that he advised me are in the top right corner. There's maybe 2 or 3 of them. So when you look at this picture, it really gives you a great example of how numerous the fakes can be compared to the authentic ones.
So how hard is it to spot the fake ones?
So it really depends on what badge you're looking to purchase for your collection. So basically, it depends on the history, of course, of that Corps, which would greatly determine what kind of badges are still in existence or would have been in existence. 2 examples that are really perfect to exemplify that. So first you have, say you're looking for a 2nd Corps badge. So that's a trefoil or clover, very well used badge during the war because that Corps lasted from the onset of Corps badges being incorporated into the Army to the very end of the war, and then afterward for the veterans groups. So if looking for, again, like a wartime badge, well, yeah, you're going to have maybe a good chance to find one, but again, you want to know what you're looking for. So then there's another example of a Corps that actually changed their insignia design during the war. So the 19th Corps would be a great example of that. So you might see an 1863 version of their badge versus an 1864 version of their badge. But the thing is, you have to know the history, like I said. So they started with like a 4-pointed fort shape, and that was just on their Corps flag to start. But then that Corps goes and changes their insignia in 1864 to a basically very, very similar to the 5th Corps, was a Maltese cross. The only difference is the Maltese cross, if you look in between the ends of the sides of the cross, the 4 sides, it comes in at points at the center, where the 19th Corps comes in at right angles. And again, you're like, what genius thought of this badge? Because it's just going to confuse. Literally, I just saw a picture on social media not too long ago of a monument at Gettysburg for the 5th Corps, I think on Little Round Top. And if you know the difference between the badges, you're going to smack yourself in the head because, well, what idiot put the 19th Corps badge on the 5th Corps monument?
Wow.
And you could find it there. So there's another example of, so say you're shopping for a badge. Well, there's so many details you have to really incorporate into looking and hunting for that badge that your chances of finding one are going to be very slim.
Is there also a way to look at it of how they're made? Is there something that you can look at the certain metal ones or the way they're cut or engraved or however?
Yes.
That you can tell that, okay, this was definitely made with today's material and equipment.
Well, yeah, that's another good point. So one, you could actually know the history of like what metals were more readily available during the war. Obviously, there's always that phrase wartime shortage of things, but the badges are, they were made in great quantity because they were in such demand. So silver was not in a great quantity in the United States during the war. So yes, there was silver coinage. So there is use of that insignia on coins sometimes, but again, you got to be careful with those because the coins still last, as collector pieces today by themselves. It's not going to take much money for somebody to take a really worn out, silver 25-cent piece or 10-cent piece and try to carve something into it. So that could be an authentic coin converted into a fake Corps badge. Wood really wasn't one that I found to be really existent at all, but bone definitely. And some of them are some of the more beautiful pieces because they took so much time to making them. But then metal as well, hand carved, but then hand carved again. You could be a bad artist. You could have no artistic ability as a soldier in the Civil War and have no artistic ability now as somebody making a fake one. So again, you got to be careful there. So there's that material. So, but they really made them out of any metal, more or less. If you're looking for metal, cloth is obviously going to be another one you could look for. So then again, the technique though of jewelers at the time is what you're looking for, and you're looking for a handmade type of piece, but really you're looking for details on it of engraving, like borders, designs, scroll work. Sometimes obviously they doubled as identification pieces, so names, but are those names in text, like the text in print or script? Well, you'll find them in both, but even the print, the thing is in detail. So the print text of the time was even by itself extremely detailed in particular style. The scroll work for, I say scroll work because engraving script is always in circular motions. So you're looking for that in the script as well. So any letter, doesn't matter. It could, be more, you might think it's a more right angled letter, but it's still can be done in circular motions to get it nice and fluid and flowing on the piece. So you're looking for that. And then the borders, like I said, are a big thing because when you look at wartime badges versus post-war veterans badges that are made out of metal, apparently there was a technique after the war that jewelers did was they stamped circles to basically shape the badge. So say you're looking at a Fifth Corps badge like we mentioned, so Maltese cross. So it looks as it does, but if you see little half circles going around the entire border, indents of half circles, that means it's a post-war badge because that's the technique for the post-war years.
Well, let's just get to it. Where are these fake badges being sold, and who's producing them? I mean, who's trying to corner the market on this?
So once you start kind of having reenacting become a hobby with really the centennial of the Civil War, and then it kind of blew up more in the 80s and 90s. You used to have fakes out there made overseas, and I learned that Pakistan and India, to some degree, threw some of them into the mix. Ones that particular that I know of, they're called Hayward badges, and these are basically small discs that are slightly rounded with enameled insignia in them. And for some reason, that's what they produce. But the thing is, talking about the details, like we did, what you're looking for, B.T. Hayward in New York City we had been selling them pretty much since 1863. So they just kept on going with varieties. But the thing is, they put out a newspaper ad. You can still see the newspaper ad for those particular badges in Harper's Weekly and some other periodicals. They show the actual image of that badge, circular with the insignia in the center. Now, what apparently these whoever produced the fakes did is they produced them based off that example. So they literally copied the same exact size of the picture of the badge in the newspaper article versus what it should be. And I myself had an encounter with purchasing one once, and then found out that the authentic size is actually the size of a modern dime, and the one I got was larger than a presidential dollar. So as great as it looked and kind of old looking as it looked, it was 100% fake. And you still see those badges floating around in the collector's market today.
How do you think that switch happened where reenactors were getting equipment that was supposed to be replicas from Pakistan, not fake, just a replica to wear in the field? And then how did it change from just those replicas to producing fakes and trying to get them sold as the real deal when they're not?
It's hard to say. I mean, it seemed, I think because there was such a demand for things from the period of the war all of a sudden that, I guess the market sprang up, whoever was smart enough to try to, put the means together to produce everything and sell. just like any business venture, maybe. I don't know why Pakistan, maybe because of, their ability to get the raw materials, wool, leather, I'm going to get, and, brass, I guess, to a degree. I mean, I know that there is a certain area in Pakistan today that's well known for literally being able to copy any firearm that exists,
Wow.
any. So just that alone shows you that at least in that area of the world, there's a culture of being able to reproduce things
Right.
to a strong degree. Now, regarding the badges, I don't know why the fake badges came out of that part of the world. I do know of one seller now that sells them on eBay. I won't mention their name out of, courtesy, but I've dubbed them kind of my core badge nemesis, because here I am trying to legitimately make replicas and be as honest as possible, where this person I can tell, and I found out through other people who've purchased from them, that they're not authentic. And those Hayward badges, there's tons of them for sale there, and they're thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars. That's where when I said I purchased one from that seller, thinking, oh wow, this, I might as well get my hands on one, give it a shot. And it was a sixth core badge, just a cross, like an X style cross. So the badge was green. The insignia inside was green, and then a green ring around it. So green meant the 4th division. Now, that division was a very short-lived division. Getting back to the history, you have to know to look for the right badge. It was a short-lived division that basically went from through Chancellorsville, Battle of Chancellorsville, to just after it, because it got incorporated into the other divisions rather than existing at all. Now, I thought, okay, this could just be a rare one if this badge is real. But then when I found out they were fake and the size was off, then it made sense. I'm like, well, that's why there's a green one, because somebody figured out that there had been a green one at some point and thought, okay, I'll make the badge. Now, of course, you could argue, okay, maybe after the war this was made, and somebody who wanted to commemorate that they were part of that division, though short-lived as it was, they wanted a badge to represent that. Well, that's a shot, but that's a slim shot, and one not risking, my money on. So
Right.
luckily the seller had a return policy. I got my money back, but you could still find that exact badge, maybe 2 of them. And there's one that's like a group collection where there's like 5 or more badges of that core for sale. And then there's the one that I had, the green one, that's for sale by itself. And the thing is, they also provide this other badge, well, this style of badge, I should say. I post about them once in a while. They sell this particular style of badge that's got cloth centers. So that means it's a metal badge with the middles cut out to have exposed cloth. And that was a style of badge during the war. It was not common, but there are examples found. But some of the ones sold on this eBay, by this eBay seller, are just so elaborately like loud. And some of them combine core insignia into more than one badge, and some of them add divisions for headquarters badges where they add all the colors. They don't deserve to be there. They shouldn't be there. They didn't exist. And then, to somebody like me who's looking at them like, how dare they try to pass this off as real?
Yeah.
Whereas I feel sorry for anybody that tries to bid on it thinking it is real.
Did you ever confront this nemesis of yours?
I never confronted them, but when I not to say, like, I want to say maybe I might have written a message once, but I know when I purchased the badge and I said I would like to return this, they asked why. And I said, well, because I know it's fake. And they didn't question me. They didn't push anything. They accepted processed my refund and took it back. I sent it back in one piece. I wasn't trying to step on any toes, but again, I knew it was fake.
But where can people actually go to look for true, authentic core badges? Where are they relatively safe?
Horse Soldier, Gettysburg, Union Drummer Boy at Gettysburg are 2 in that town alone that I would say they strive for selling authentic things, because they have no reason not to. That's their business. They want to sell authentic things. Online, eBay, you can find them. They are on eBay, but again, you just got to be careful there, because people will try to pass anything to sell on eBay. Otherwise, you could do Cowan's auctions, Heritage auctions. Live Auctioneers is a site that allows you to kind of If you make a profile with them, you can type in keywords and they'll alert you to certain things that are suddenly up for sale on various auction sites.
But of course, you can also buy an authentic replica. And where can people buy authentic replicas? Go ahead and plug yourself. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. So yeah, civilwarcorebadges.com, straightforward with that name. Obviously, you can get any replica you'd like. I try to keep it as authentic as possible with period examples of pictures or soldiers actually wearing the badges or other, evidence that I can find of those badges. So if you have a historical impression for the reenacting hobby or you want to honor an ancestor who served in that corps, I'm the guy to see.
Perfect. Thank you so much for doing this. Thanks so much for coming on this podcast again.
My pleasure, Paul. Thank you. Always a
Thank
pleasure
you.
talking to you.